Hi everyone, welcome to our Famhealth Live. आज हमारे साथ हैं कैंसर स्पेशलिस्ट डॉक्टर आर रंगा राव, जो कि सीनियर डायरेक्टर हैं मैक्स सुपर स्पेशलिटी हॉस्पिटल में at Shalimar Bagh. He's an eminent oncologist. Sir, thank you for coming to our Famhealth Live. Sir, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, so I'm a cancer specialist, generally dealing with the medical oncology, that is the chemotherapy, targeted therapy, and medical management of the cancers, and of all types of cancers, especially in the adult, and then those which are not blood cancers. That's what I deal with.
जी सर, हमारी जो फैम हेल्थ की कम्युनिटी है उस पे हमारा एक देयर इज वन सेक्शन ऑफ द कम्युनिटी इज फॉर कैंसर सर्वाइवर्स, फॉर caregivers of those people who are suffering from cancer, and sir has been an eminent part of cancer community. Sir का और sir की team का बहुत ही strong support रहा है हमारे cancer community पे. तो हमने सोचा sir, there's a lot of questions जो cancer के related हमें आते हैं. To simplify it, like you had mentioned, we will start off with one section, that is what are the common causes of cancer.
Right. So I think we'll go in this sequence. Before we come to the causes of cancer, ये तो जान ले कि कैंसर कितना ज़्यादा फैल रहा है इंडिया में and then world में.
जी सर.
So we must realize that the cancer is increasing in incidence over the last many years, all over the world, especially in the developing countries like India and the neighboring countries, which are very populous, China and all that. So earlier with the belief was it's only part of the developing countries, but the developed countries, but it is not so. A lot of them are from the developing countries. So we have, and the important thing to realize is that in next 20 years, the figure may go up from 1.5 to 2 times.
Oh my God.
That is something which is happening.
They are huge numbers.
Yes, huge numbers. And that is what is alarming. And all this is happening because our lifestyles have changed a lot over the years. And what does the lifestyle mean? Lifestyle means the way we are eating, the way we are having the water, the pollutions, and so on. And important thing is how we are exercising, right? And then the other lifestyles of not doing exercise and excessive fat and so on. The reproductive habits are also an important part of it.
Okay.
Exposure to infections are a part of it, and then the pollutants, the chemicals that we have, all that is important. All those things. So from rural life we have come to urban. From organic life we have come to plastic.
Yes.
And we have come to non-chemical life to chemicals. I think that's what transformation of lifestyle is happening.
Transition.
Yeah, exactly. And then from simple diet we have come to complicated diets.
Yes.
And then we have come from traditional diet to the junk foods. Yeah. Right? And when I say junk food, means it's not eating a burger once in a while, but if the burger becomes every day
your staple.
Yeah. Every day is a fad.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a problem.
Yeah.
And then the recently new things which have also been discovered, like for example alcohol. Any amount of alcohol at any time does cause cancer. So let's understand that alcohol is not a very good thing to have at all. Then the other thing which has recently come up is the sleep and the cancer. People who sleep during the daytime and are awake during the night time, which means a night shift person, if they're doing it very routinely. Or those who have nocturnal, awake and nocturnal work.
Whose sleep cycles are altered.
Absolutely. So they are natural, like the whole cycle is altered in the body, and therefore they have more cancers. So I think these new things are coming up, right? So all this is, and what is happening in India? So as I said, 17 lakhs, 18 lakhs in a year, and then out of this, almost 1.5 lakh of breast cancer. Breast cancers are an increase, and especially in the young ladies. So I think that's an alarming thing. Lung cancers, oral cancers, because of tobacco related, and then the gallbladder cancers, ovarian cancer, they're all in the increase. So I think the lifestyle related cancers are in the increase.
जी सर, जहाँ तक कैंसर्स का सवाल है हमारी कंट्री में इंडिया, व्हाट आर द मोस्ट कॉमन कैंसर्स जो इंडिया में
होते हैं? So the most common cancer in the females are the breast cancers, and this is followed by the cervical cancer. Breast cancers are almost about 1.5 lakh new patients every year, and 1,25,000 cervical cancers are reported every year, and that earlier cervical cancer was number 1, and now the breast cancer is number 1. Because of the changing habits and various things.
And in males?
In males is the lung cancer, the oral cancers, the stomach cancers, the esophageal cancer. These are the
These are the common cancers. Sir, जब हम causes की बात करते हैं cancer के, so it is not exactly the cause these are mostly the risk factors that make you more prone.
Correct.
So अगर हम एक एक करके सब कुछ common risk factors को लें, तो sir, what are the common risk factors जिनसे हमारा our chances of having a certain type of cancer increase, and then eventually we will talk about how we can prevent ourselves from this.
So I think the most important and the preventable factor is the tobacco.
Ji.
Use of tobacco in any form, whether it is a cigarette, whether it is an oral consumption like a tobacco or something.
Yeah.
Even the so-called as the electronic cigars and cigarettes and
e-cigars.
E-cigars. All those are all bad. So the tobacco is one of the most important things. Second thing is the diet itself. High fatty diet, high non-vegetarian containing diet, and then a lot of fried foods.
Yes.
These are all the diets which are, and excessive calories. They all cause cancers. And overweight. Overweight is one of the important risk factors, and overweight means anything more than more than 10%
of your
expected weight. If it is more, that's overweight. And then those people have 1.5 times the cancer, more chances of cancer. So that's an important risk factors. So diet is one, tobacco we have spoken, and then alcohol we have spoken, obesity, that is overweight included, and the other thing is lack of adequate exercise.
Yeah.
I mean, earlier we used to have, in our generation, the old generation walked for everything, for their schools and all that.
Yeah.
Today nobody walks, even they don't walk to the bathroom.
Sir. So now it is said that sitting is the new smoking, isn't it?
So
it's a big killer.
Exactly. And in the evening in the parks, they hardly they have children.
Yeah.
Everyone is glued to the TV, coaching classes, this and that. I think as parents must realize that their children must be active, physically active, indulge in a lot of activities from childhood. There's no point putting them into sports sector when they're grown up. I think from childhood they must be encouraged to be physically active, and then throughout their growth time they must be active, physically active. That's very important. This factor.
जी सर, डाइट में there are many things which people or which literature associates, especially sir, now there's this problem of internet. Everyone Googles. So there's this new trend where we believe anything and everything that comes up on the internet. We take that it's sacrosanct, it's a fact. So as far as जैसे आपने smoking का बताया, so smoking तो है एक risk factor, but what about other things such as sugar? So sugar को बहुत जगहों पे, बहुत blogs पे, या there are many people who say that sugar खाने से आपका कैंसर हो सकता है. So is that true?
No, it is not true. It is actually, okay, let's understand what is a healthy diet. Healthy diet means balanced, adequate calories as per the height and the age of the person, right? And then next thing is that they should have a proportional thing of the calories, proteins, and the fats and so on. So high fatty diet, high caloric diet is carcinogenic.
Okay.
Then important constituents are fruits and vegetables. They must be in sufficient quantity. Fruits and vegetables are very healthy food. I will answer the question whether if they're contaminated, that's totally different. But fruits and vegetables are an important part. What do? They have lots of minerals, vitamins, and in many other things which prevent the cancers. They add bulk to the diet. So they take away all the toxic material from our body through the stools and all that. So it actually it promotes
fiber rich.
They're very fiber rich. So that's one important thing. Non-vegetarian content. High red meat content is now known to be cancer producing. Red meat. So therefore, if one has to be non-vegetarian, so stick to chicken and fish in moderate and minimal quantities, and not the red meat. Right. So non-vegetarian. I think these are the important things, and high fat. Now you asked me the question of
about
sugar. I don't think there's any fat, and then all the science says that it's not sugar what causes the cancer. It is the excess of calories and overweight related to that causes the cancer.
So no matter where they come from.
And then in any case, when I say sugar, it doesn't mean that you should have tons of sugar, and you should have modest quantities of sugar. Sugar has never been a regular part of the diet in traditional food, except in the sweets a little bit. I think very modest consumption of sugar will be a good balanced diet. To that extent, banning the sugar, not having the sugar, it's not right.
So this is a new trend that has happened with millennials, especially. They abstain completely from sugar and attribute a lot of ailments to sugar, including the cancer. So
so it adds to the calories. I mean, if you have too much of sugars, too much of sweets, it's bad. too much of anything is bad.
Yeah.
So that, and the other myth which has been going around, I found, is the milk. Milk and milk products.
Yeah.
Let's understand one thing, that all mammals are dependent on the milk from childhood. So there is no question that milk causes cancer. Milk does not. Same thing. Extra milk, extra products of like that, extra calories. You have limited. You can't have 3 liters of milk in a day.
Yeah.
You will have maybe 200, 250 ml per day, or the kids will have more.
Yeah.
Or 500 or 750 ml according to their weight and age. So I think that's all. Modest consumption of the milk and sugar is fine.
It's fine. जी सर. सर जहाँ तक artificial sweetness का सवाल है, a lot of flack. They receive a lot of flack. So what is their stand as far as the cancers are concerned?
Yeah. So any synthetic artificial sweeteners are not recommended. They are not supposed to be. And then if you're very sweet tooth, then you can't have it. I think maybe you can use the natural sweets like gourd or kismis or these kind of
dates.
things. Dates. Yeah, those all can be used. Jaggery is a good jaggery is a good replacement for sugar. And then there's those who have diabetes and all that. I would request them not to have the artificial sweetener.
So then what about stevia? Does it also fall into the category of
Stevia.
artificial sweetness? Yeah, the plant, which comes from the plant.
Plant products, maybe they're safer. They're safer than the any synthetic
like
sugars.
aspartame.
Yeah.
जी. So alcohol का आपने बताया अभी that it increases the risk of many cancers. So there was a good amount of time जब तक alcohol, especially red wine consumption, was associated to be, it was considered to be cardioprotective and so on and so forth. So cancer को लेके alcohol का क्या connection है?
So recently there is an important announcement by the American Society of Clinical Oncology and also the National Cancer Institute of American, which is, I think, accepted by most of the agencies. It said alcohol in any form and in any quantity is carcinogenic. So that means that it can produce a cancer. There is some amount of truth in saying that some of the red wine has antioxidants and maybe it would prevent the heart problems, as you were saying. It does not mean that a person who is not an alcoholic starts taking red wine.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It means that if one is taking alcohol, maybe he can take modest quantities or very minimal quantities of red wine, and that would be fine. And just to have a psychological effect and nothing more. So alcohol in any amount, even he may say, once in a while I take it. It is definitely more than 0, and then it causes cancer. So let's understand that risk very clearly.
Yeah, so that's like absolutely clear. So जहाँ तक different diets का सवाल है, so Mediterranean diet को काफी protective माना गया against various diseases. For example, heart diseases and diabetes. It helps in controlling sugar. So does it have a role to play in, or do certain diets have a role to play as far as cancer, reducing the cancer risk is concerned?
Yeah. I would go a little step behind that. All the various regions in the world have developed their own traditional diets.
Yes.
And then that is according to the availability of local foods, the taste of the foods, and then the weather conditions and so on. I mean, even in India, you take up north and then you go down south, they're totally different diets. And that's because of their habits for ages.
Generations.
And then all traditional diets, whichever have consisted of their natural resources, have been good. Deviating away from the traditional diet is not very nice. So I think just stick to the diet. I would not say that a South Indian should have a Mediterranean food, or or American should start having idli dosa.
Indian food.
I think that's not. Stick to your traditional diet. One, natural as much as possible, whole cereals as much as possible. Include the fruits and vegetables, a lot of them. Have the least amount of the non-vegetarian food. It's now very clearly proven that vegetarian diet is far healthier, just not for cancer, but all lifestyle diseases. So that's for sure. So even one has to consume the non-vegetarian diet, consume the least of it. I think stick to your traditional diet. Now, whatever way it is formed, the other important thing is the use of the spices. There are many spices have been found to be beneficial. They all have, I would say, properties of maintaining a good health. To some extent, preventive properties.
Maybe anti-inflammatory effects.
Anti-inflammatory, anti-infective, and so on. Many things are there. I think we are rediscovering. I'm not saying discovering. We all are traditional people knew it. We're rediscovering and re-understanding all the benefits of the spices and the spices in the Indian spices, and also all the world spices which are used all over the world have been good Chinese, Mediterranean, and you name them. And many countries have their own.
So, for example, turmeric has been considered to be a wondrous
spice. It is mother
spice.
of all the spices. I personally believe, and a lot of literature is existing.
Yes.
You look up Nature, you look up Science, you look up any other good scientific journals, articles are full of them. And then they can prevent all their lifestyle diseases, including cancers. And they are also known to control cancers, but we need to discover more of those facts. We need to understand more.
So we should include these spices which are locally available in our diet.
Yeah, right. And then go by the traditional diet. What your grandmother, great grandmother, whatever is it, find those recipes.
Going back to basics.
Exactly.
Yeah, to our roots.
Correct.
Ji sir, very well said. So smoking एक बहुत बड़ा concern है, health concern है. It's the mother of all ailments, including cancers. So is there a direct link between smoking and cancer?
Of course, there's a total link. In the sense that more smoke that you do, then more cancers we have. And at least 50% of these people will die prematurely of other lifestyle diseases, including heart and strokes and all that. So, and cancer is one of them. So definitely it's very harmful. And then any amount of smoking will lead to any of the lifestyle diseases. That is one. And then most of the smokers die prematurely as compared to non-smokers. That's, I think, well proven. Their median productivity and so on, everything is, there are a lot of statistics to prove that smoking in any form is bad.
It's bad. Ji sir. So we will continue with talking more about the possible risk factors. So for the first 10 minutes, first 15-20 minutes of our community, of our Famhealth Live, we dedicate to our community members. We first of all take up those questions which have been asked by our members. So usko shuru karte hue, here are a few questions that I have, and I would like to ask them. There's a female saying that I have a mole on my arm. It increases in size every year and hurts sometimes. Should I be worried?
Yeah, okay. So if the mole has been there, it's a pigmented mole, just go and see the doctor. And then if it is increasing in size, if it is itching too much, if it is bleeding often, and then if it is, I think one just consult him. And then at best, he may examine, maybe saying nothing to worry. If it is big or something, if there's any suspicion, he will do a biopsy and find out. It's always good to consult rather than take your own decisions.
So moles can be cancerous.
Exactly.
Yeah, they can be. So then there's one more question saying, how often should I get a mammogram done? I am 35-year-old with 2 kids.
Okay. So mammography is, as we know, it's an X-ray. It's for the soft tissues for the breast to find out if there's any lump in the breast or in the armpit. That's what we do. And then it doesn't have much of a radiation. The modern machines do not have much of radiation. Now, this has been recommended all over at different ages. Different guidelines are existing, and then they are according to the prevalence in that particular country. Right? They're country-specific guidelines, and in general, we must divide the whole lot of ladies into 2 kinds of things. Number one, people who have the family history of breast cancers.
Okay.
Right? And the other people who do not have.
So the earlier ones are at higher risk.
At higher risk. So those who are at a higher risk for whatever reasons, if they have ovarian cancer or breast cancer in their family, they themselves had a breast cancer in the past. So they become a different category. So those people must have an every year mammography. Now the age is around 35 to 40. Now this age could be little earlier or later depending on how the first, let's say the mother had the breast cancer at the age of 45 years. So they should start the screening from 10 years before. 10 years before.
Oh, okay.
10 years before, a decade before. So supposing the mother had at 55, so start at 45. So that's how it is. By and large, 40 years is accepted all over, and some countries recommend 50 years. But in India, I think 40 years is fair.
We should start earlier.
And then the people who have high risk of breast cancer, they must have every year. Those who are not at a high risk, they could choose between 2 to 3 years. And then till the age of 60, 65 years, they can carry on.
They can get. So there's another question. Does coughing blood mean that a person has cancer?
No. Coughing blood is a simple symptom of, it could be a throat infection. It could be an injury because of some foreign body. It could be a TB. It could be any bronchitis. It could be pneumonia. It could be even a cancer. So whatever symptoms we keep saying that no, these could be early symptoms of cancer. They may not be. They're just indicating that you go and have a checkup for cancer. So spitting blood is not. So just I'll go back to the mammography question once again, just to remind. Don't think that only mammography is the important thing. Some people may not have access. Some people may not have the financial means to do this kind of a screening. One of the important thing is to have a breast self-examination. Many videos are available and lot of guidance is available on the net. Right, take it from the right source, and maybe Famhealth can take an initiative in doing this, and they can see and do it themselves. Right, and there are many places that feel and touch. So there are many places where they have free workshops. These ladies can attend those workshops, consult their doctors, learn it, and so that they can do it on a monthly basis. That's one of the important things that every lady must learn. Right. At the same time, mammography should always be combined with an ultrasound, and then it should be read in a proper way. Right? And the thing is that they could consult an oncologist or a surgeon or a gynecologist of their choice or a family doctor who is experienced in detecting the breast cancer. Right? And of late there's been some talk about the blind women. Right? They can then spend a lot of time in actually detecting. So these are all new things which are happening.
Because probably they have more they're sensitive, more sensitive.
They have to be trained, of course.
So then there's a question. I am a 25-year-old female. I work in a multinational company. My father had colon cancer. Am I at risk too?
Okay, good. So I think we are talking of familial cancers. So familial cancers.
There are certain cancers जो families में run करते हैं.
Exactly. So some of the cancers are breast cancers, ovarian cancers, colon cancers, and so on. Right. So these are the common cancers. They could be pancreatic, they could be prostate. So many cancers are now becoming. We come to know that they run in the families. So important thing is you must know your family tree, and it's not just the parents and brothers and sisters. You must also know the first cousins and parents' first cousins. So anyone. So it's a good family tree. I think it's important. You must gather the information, keep it for the future. Understand. So if there's one person affected or two persons affected, the risk increases. Supposing if 2 generations, 3 generations have that. So that means they could be carrying a gene. So most important thing for them to do it is before they start the screening process, understand their risks of cancers. The risk of cancers is simply because 3 people had it. And the other thing, nowadays we have these tests, family gene testing is done for various cancers. Sometimes they're helpful, sometimes they're not helpful. Right? So I'll talk about that later. Now coming to this question, I think if just look at the age of the father, at what age he had. So 10 to 15 years before, I think you should start this one. And ask her brothers and uncles and all that also to have this kind of screen.
Ji. So next question hai, I eat a lot of non-vegetarian food. Will I be more at risk of cancer?
Yes, undoubtedly. I think that's now overwhelming evidence is existing that those people, and if you see the meat map of the world and the cancers, it's very good. Very clearly
strong correlation.
Yes. So I mean, avoidance of non-vegetarian, have lots of fruits and vegetables along with it. And some people also say that the way the Indian, rather at least we know about Indian food, the way it is made with the spices, with the thing, the carcinogenetic or rather cancer-producing substance decreases.
Acha, because of the spices.
Right.
That's lovely.
So we don't know what is the truth. I think that
it is just a speculation. So non-vegetarian sources, are there any sources which are like less, which are rather healthy?
Yeah, fish, chicken in that order. Fish is probably the healthiest, followed by the chicken, and then the red meat or the lamb and all that. They are definitely
more carcinogenic.
And burnt food,
charred food.
Yeah,
charred meat
burnt
people
food,
have.
Yes. I think they are more cancer-producing than others.
They are carcinogenic.
Correct.
Ji. So right. So there's a question saying, can cancer pass from mother to the baby?
Okay, through the blood? No. I mean, I think the answer I would say is no. It doesn't.
But it runs in families. So
it runs in the families.
But not
so
a
in other words,
transmission.
supposing if a person has got cancer and his blood is given to somebody, it doesn't happen. But we don't give it conventionally. So this kind of a situation, mother having cancer may not even have the child because the cancer will not allow her to produce a child.
Yeah.
It may stop in between where the treatment or the cancer itself.
So, and cancer is not, it's not like transmit.
Yeah. Right.
It can't be transferred directly from a person to the other.
Because the child's mother, the blood will be taken care of.
जी सर. So vitamin D का जहाँ तक सवाल है, काफी ज़्यादा literature भी है, बहुत कुछ लिखा भी जाता है about the role of vitamin D in cancers.
Right. So I think it's all the vitamins and minerals are essential for our life. Right? They all have many properties, and one of the properties which is there is immunity boosting of these vitamins, including the vitamin D. So there have been many studies indicating that those people who have deficiency of vitamin D have more cancers. So therefore, adequacy of vitamin D is essential.
Okay.
You have to maintain that.
So if we have deficiency of vitamin D, we will be at more risk of cancers.
Yeah, definitely. And then a cancer patient also having vitamin D deficiency, the reports are there indicating that they can have more chances of spread, more chances of recurrence. So it is important for the vitamin D to be tested in most of the cancer patients and corrected.
So even in non-cancer patients, people who are healthy, they also should keep their vitamin D levels.
And they're off late because people don't sit in the sunlight in our country. They're not exposed. And even if the sunlight, maybe because of pollution under the sun, it doesn't reach our skin in sufficient concentrations. I think there's a lot of vitamin D deficiency.
जी सर, environmental factors में बहुत सारे factors हैं जो कि risk हमारा cancer का बढ़ाते हैं. So उनमें से UV rays भी हैं, like the sun exposure. So Indians कितना prone है to skin
because
cancers?
Of the dark skin, we are protected. White skins are more prone. So therefore, we don't have much of skin cancers. If you see all the statistics, they all contain non-cutaneous malignancies.
Okay.
Skin cancers are not considered as cancers because they keep happening and they keep getting treated.
Yeah.
So they're not counted. They're countless.
Okay.
Countless. So in India, we are protected because of our color.
So environmental exposure में another big challenge that we have, especially in metropolitan cities, is the particulate matter, the pollution levels. So उसका कुछ connection है cancers के साथ?
100%. There's a lot of it, and then studies done abroad, studies even done in Calcutta, the Children Cancer National Cancer, they have studied a lot before. I think wherever there's atmospheric pollution is high because of these particulate matters, the cancer producing capacity is very high. The lung cancers especially, what we call the aerodigestive lung cancers and the throat cancers and so on, they all are more. Undoubtedly, they cause a lot of things in addition to other non-cancerous diseases.
So it puts us at a higher risk. जी sir. So one more risk factor जिसके बारे में I would love you to shed a light on is the various exposure to various or infections by bacteria and viruses.
Correct.
So because these are the things that we can avoid.
Okay. So infections cause a good number of cancers, right? So one of them important infection is the human papillomavirus, which is very common, and this is a sexually transmitted virus, right? And this action happens only through the sexual intercourse. So needless to say that the moment the sexual activity in the humans start, they're infected with this, especially the ladies, and then it stays in a majority of the people, and then in vast majority it doesn't cause any problem because it is eliminated by the immunity itself. Almost 99% of the infections are eliminated or controlled by the host because of the immune factor. So in that small percentage of people where the immunity is not good, hygiene is not good, the infection stays and then causes a cancer of the cervix over a long period of time. Right? So that's one of the notorious organisms, and that's the reason why human papillomavirus vaccinations are now available. So we call it as a cervical cancer vaccine. Actually, it's a vaccine against the human papillomavirus.
So unsafe sexual practices put you at a high risk of HPV.
So number one, multiple sexual partners, right? Bad hygiene of the genitals. That's one. I mean, immediately after the sexual activity, go and have a wash, and then that's, I think, one of the important things. So these are the important things, and then using of the condoms and all that definitely decreases the risk. And then one other factor was having multiple children. Multiple children was one of the risk factors for having cervical cancer. Now the number of children has reduced, the cervical cancer
that risk has come down. Ji.
And a lot of people have removal of the uterus for whatever reasons at much younger age because of bleeding and because of fibroid and so on. So their risk is also
reduces. Ji. So what about hepatitis virus?
Hepatitis B and C called the liver cancers. So protection by taking these vaccinations is important. Just going back to the human papillomavirus vaccination, there is a controversy whether everyone should have it. When one out of so many thousands people have, it's at risk for having cervical cancer.
So
it also prevents the infection of the human papillomavirus in the throat.
Okay.
Because of the changing sexual habits in the West, it's becoming more common. The oropharyngeal cancers,
yes.
the same the organism causes the cancer in the throat, especially in the oropharynx. So now that also can be prevented. So by hygiene or so on, but it's a controversial topic, and then it's a national policy which can be adopted by this. I don't know
so it is. So it is a discretion. A person can get it done. जी जी सर सर H pylori का जहाँ तक ताल्लुक है वो उसको स्टमक कैंसर के साथ रिलेट करते हैं सर are Indians more prone to H pylori infection?
Yes, we have lots of them because and a lot of people have these symptoms, and H pylori infection is very common. Stomach cancers are very common in India, and then of late the type of stomach cancers is changing from the squamous to the adeno, and then that's one of the causes is the dyspepsia, and this means burning sensation.
So ये bacteria होता है.
It could be one of the bacterial infection. H pylori infection must be detected and treated as soon as possible.
Ji sir. And there are viruses like Epstein-Barr virus.
Yeah. So the Epstein-Barr virus and all that, they're generally in the throat, and certain areas in the country and in the world are more prone to this. And then having this infection can cause to nasopharyngeal as well as the various kind of lymphomas and all that. Yes, that's one of the things. And we'll not forget the AIDS virus. AIDS virus by itself can lead to the cancers directly and indirectly because immunity comes down, and then the lack of immunity will produce a cancer, many types of cancer. So therefore, the AIDS is also one of the cancer-producing organisms. And for hepatitis B, for the HPV, the vaccinations are available. So therefore, one could make a choice.
So even for H pylori, people can take the eradication treatment.
The treatment. The moment they're diagnosed, they should have the treatment.
Ji sir. So let's see. We are getting a lot of comments. Go from the top. Nitin is saying thank you and welcome back, Dr. Rao. Asha Kapoor says thank you, Dr. Rao. Megha, can cancer be prevented?
I think the clear answer is yes. Most of the lifestyle cancers are preventable. The WHO very clearly says that 40 to 50% of the cancers in the world are preventable by adopting all the preventive measures that we just discussed.
So, Saurabh is asking, welcome. No, it's more of a comment. Just a second. Welcome back, sir. Satinder is saying, tell me about testicular cancer.
Right. So testicular cancer is not a very common cancer, but it is found obviously in the males, and then it presents as a painless swelling in the testis. Right? Even the testis, when it's pressed, the sensations are not there. That's one of the important things. And then, so sometimes it is mistaken as a hydrocele, that is water filled in the testes, and then they undergo the operation, then detected. So, so any person having a testicular in the size is increased and that too painless, they must consult the doctor, and that's one of the things. And then it can spread through the lymph nodes into the abdomen. It can spread into the lungs, and it is still, despite its advanced stage, it is curable. It's one of the curable cancers. With chemotherapy, surgery, and radiation, various combinations are used, and there are many types of testicular tumors. So needless to say, but one should be very cautious about this. And it is not a very common cancer.
So Rohit is saying, what is lung cancer and what causes it?
Right. So cancer in the lung is basically the lung cancer, and the lung cancer can be caused by many factors. One of them is, of course, the tobacco. The other thing is the environment, pollution. Now WHO clearly says it's one of the causative factors. And then the other thing is an unhidden thing. We are not aware of the radon, the radiations in our homes, in our things. There are certain areas in India which have got high concentration of this, which is basically radiation which is emitted in the soil, in the earth, from that.
Which is coming from the environment.
Which is natural. And in some places it's high, and then in some places it is low. So you can check the net and the geographical locations, and then one should be careful. There are some certain areas where this is very high and a lot of cancers are produced.
Okay. Sir Kamal is saying hi, sir. Hello, welcome. Deepak Sharma is saying hi, doc. There's a question. One of my friend is dealing with tongue cancer. After surgery, he had undergone with radiation treatment. It's been 6 years by now, but till today he is not able to eat properly, especially mirchi bahut lagti hai. As they are saying, these are all side effects of radiation. But up till when is it going to remain?
Okay, fine. So it's at least most importantly, you must realize that he's cured. Right?
Okay.
He doesn't
That's
have
the
a
good
recurrent.
part.
That's a very good part. And then because an operation has been done, the operation means certain parts of the body would have been removed in that area. And then radiation has been given to him. Radiation would damage certain things like the taste buds and then the superficial layers of the tongue and the oral cavity. A lot of would have been repaired by now. And then there would be some things which have not been repaired by nature. So therefore he's expected to have pain like very high sensitive to veggie, hot fluids and so on. So they may not go, and then maybe over the period of time they'll become less.
But maybe some
Important thing,
modifications.
he has to modify and identify what is causing him pain. So he should avoid all that.
Ji. So Janice is asking how.
And he must continue his checkups.
Be regular with your follow-ups.
Yes.
So Janice is asking, how can I prevent cancer recurrence?
Yeah, fine. So any patient who has undergone cancer treatment properly, it means that we already have done the best possible to prevent a recurrence. It's a question of recurrence comes those who have actually got rid of cancer and then for their cure. We don't call cure right in the beginning. We call them as only after they live for certain years and then it is under control. It has not come back, right? So recurrences can come. There are some factors in each cancer and each patient which are determined right in the beginning of diagnosis to say that okay, he's at more risk of recurrence. For example, at a very advanced stage, he is more at recurrence. And then a person who's undergone incomplete treatment is more at recurrence. A person who's not responded to the treatment is more at recurrence. So like that, there are many factors, right? And then some of the cancers are faster growing, and then they're more prone to recurrences. So we identify that and make the patient understand that okay, he is at more recurrence, so he should be more in regular follow-up. And important thing is prevention. There could be some hormonal treatment for breast cancer. There could be some targeted therapies for some other cancers. And whatever your oncologist says, you take it. And then most importantly is checking up. I mean, recently I found a patient who's undergone treatment has been fine for about 3 years. He never bothered to come back. And suddenly he comes back with him. He thought he's become all right. No need for checkup. And then he's developed the cancer. That's unfortunate. I think they should go for regular checkups irrespective of whatever even if they are fine.
Strict compliance is of very absolute importance. Ji, so very well said. So Khalid is asking, hi doctor, can being active stop the occurrence of cancers?
Oh, yes, it can prevent, it can delay, it can rather minimize the occurrence of cancer. Being active means you're saying physically active. So physical activity definitely will prevent it. It actually improves your body weight. I mean, it doesn't allow you to have extra weight, so extra fat in the body, and then also it improves your immunity. And by itself, it produces a lot of health benefits. You eat well, you digest well, you sleep well, and therefore, I think in all manners, physical activity helps to prevent the cancer and recurrence of cancers. It's known very well that all the people who are physically active, they have less cancers. Those who are inactive, they have more cancers. Clear cut, be active.
जी सर, that's very good advice. Sir, जहाँ तक antioxidants का सवाल है, so a lot of people are consuming a lot of antioxidant tablets, then sometimes taking foods like berries and all that contain antioxidants. So are they beneficial? Are they helpful in preventing cancer?
So let's understand the whole principle. Antioxidants by nature, they are found in lots of fruits and vegetables. So if you have all varieties of fruits and all varieties of vegetables in sufficient quantities, it prevents cancers. It provides you good dose of antioxidants. It prevents a lot of lifestyle diseases, including cancer. Right? That's that. Now, some people take out the same antioxidants and put it in a capsule and give it to you, and another bottle and give it to you. So I wouldn't believe them. Natural antioxidants are far better than the artificial or synthetic or semi-synthetic or extracted antioxidants. Just stick to natural. So if you can have naturally, why do you want to have
fresh fruits, vegetables? They should do the trick.
Yes.
Ji, sir. So, what about cruciferous vegetables? Like, are they helpful in, like, for example, cauliflower and other vegetables?
Everything. All vegetables are helpful. All vegetables are helpful.
Ji sir. Then, so are there any medicines which can put you at a high risk of cancers? Are certain
chemotherapeutic medicines, and then even the immunosuppression. So people who have like the transplants, they are immunosuppression, so that they have more cancers. So anything which decreases immunity will produce more cancers, and then previous chemotherapy will give you more risk. On one hand, we're treating the cancer, on one hand, we are also increasing the risk of cancer, but the numbers are so small that the benefit is high. So
cosmetics में जैसे बहुत जगहों पे लिखकर आता है कि various deodorants, antiperspirants, and certain cosmetics are carcinogenic.
So we have come to a chemical life. We were just talking in the beginning that from organic life we have come to the synthetic and the chemical life. Earlier the shampoos used to be that Arita.
Yeah.
Right, and from there we come to all conditioners and all that. I think be natural as much as possible, avoid as much of chemicals, and even if you have to use the cosmetics, I would advise you to use more herbal and
natural
plant-based and natural products and then synthetic products.
Ji sir. So this covered the first part of our today's talk, in which you discussed in detail about the various risk factors. So moving on to prevention now. Most of आपकी बातों से लग रहा है कि most of these risk factors are preventable. हम उनको रोक सकते हैं कहीं ना कहीं पे. So prevention में sir, how do we prevent them? So what are the broad things that we have to consider?
So I think one of the persons who are asking physical activity, be physically active. And physical activity means at least 40 to 50 minutes in a day. And 5 to 7, 5 days, at least 5 days in a week. I think that's a good physical activity.
Okay.
It could be a little more for the children, and then for different kinds of activity. For an elderly person, he could just have a brisk walk. And when we say walk, means walk. No chat. Don't take your phone and WhatsApp and while talking. No. Serious walking without any disturbance.
So the heart rate has to be at a certain.
It has to be high, and then you have to sweat and you have to spend calories, and your whole circulation must be good. So that's a physical activity. Second thing is adopt a healthy diet. Eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. Do not have excess of calories. Have everything natural, whole cereal food. And then there's no supplements required. Supplements are actually, WHO says don't take any supplements. Not required at all. Right? So natural diet and the healthy diet. Healthy diet would mean also minimum consumption of the non-vegetarian stuff. Right? So that's another. And then avoid all excessive spices. Have moderate spices. Right? So and then the moderate calories. That's
like red meat you said.
Yes. Right. So diet is one. Activity, physical activity. Stay away from tobacco. And tobacco, when I say stay away, means it's not just active smoking. I don't smoke, so I don't get cancer. That's fine. But if your boss smokes, you're sitting in his company because of the inhibitions, or your father smokes and you're sitting there.
So the passive smoking also puts you at risk.
So passive smoking, even now, this is second-hand smoking. There's something called third-hand smoking. In a bar, a lot of people smoke and leave the cigarettes. The fellow who's going to clean the bar next day morning, and then he's exposed to all the dust and the tobacco. That's a third-hand smoking. So actually, that's a workplace hazard.
An occupational hazard.
Yeah, he may not be a smoker, but he's doing all the cleaning of the.
So he's prone to.
Yes, that's a third-hand smoking. So tobacco in the other one, and then physical activity we said, and then alcohol. Alcohol we said enough. So alcohol in any quantity is not good. So if you have to take it, take it. Stick to moderation, very social drinking, and important thing is do not drive after the things. It's not just for the penalty, but your judgment. Even after one, your judgment, you become. If you have a small drink, you think that you're a big hero. You can do Formula 1 driving.
Yeah.
So I think that's unfair. So if you have taken drinks, do not drive. Do not let any other person drive after they think. Your judgment is impaired. You can not only impair with your own health, but you're putting somebody else's risk. So it's not good. So alcohol we have said now, and then I think these are the main things. And then for the woman, there's something more. The people who have children late in life, right, and who have less number of children, who do not give breastfeeding to the children, they are more at risk. So therefore, marry early as soon as possible, have children as soon as possible, right? And then maybe avoid hormones,
Hmm.
female hormones, when you do avoid it as a contraceptive,
Hmm.
even if you have to take for the shortest possible time. So I think these are
And
the
then
important
breastfeeding is
ones.
protective.
Breastfeeding. And then also to prevent cancers, vaccinations as
Yes,
applicable.
immunization.
Immunization,
Yeah.
you can take the human papillomavirus vaccination. You must have the hepatitis B vaccination because it's a part of the thing. It not only for the jaundice but also for the liver cancers. So I think these are all the things.
So जो ये ह्यूमन पैपिलोमा वायरस का जो वैक्सीनेशन है HPV का जो सर्वाइकल कैंसर के लिए करते हैं, so उसकी कोई एज होती है कि वो किसी भी टाइम पे कर सकते हैं?
I think it's recommended till about the 50 because generally it happens. Okay, when do we take it?
Take it, yes.
Preferably take it before the sexual activity begins. Right?
So maybe in the childhood.
Right. So nowadays guidelines also say that you can give up to the age of 30 years, provided they are proven to not to have the human papillomavirus. So there are certain new things which are emerging. So I would not advise to a child, a lady who's had 2 children, and then go and have a vaccination and have a false proof. I mean, I don't think it's required.
जी सर. So screening, जहाँ तक screening का सवाल है, कितनी important है and कब करवानी चाहिए?
So we talked about the prevention. We talked about that was the primary prevention. So it doesn't come across. So this next thing is the secondary level of prevention, early diagnosis and screening. They both of them will come in the secondary prevention. So therefore, the people who are more prone to cancers because of various risks in the family or otherwise, let's say a smoker is also more at risk. So they should have screening of cancers, and then they should have the early diagnosis. So they can just go for screening, and they can be in touch with your family doctor. I mean, I think today it's like they think that only when they fall sick they should go to the family doctor. I think adopt the practice of the family doctors, family physicians, and then have a family physician advise about the general health of the people, and then keep checking. When they know your family, I think they can advise you very well. And if you have a problem, they can direct you to the right specialist. I think that practice of the family physicians word coming back to that. I think we should go back to this. So stick to that family physician. And he would advise you on the screening things. And the screening would depend on what kind of cancers we're looking for. But in general, a routine medical checkup for all the diseases, including lifestyle, whether it's BP, whether it's sugar and all that, I think is advisable. Maybe once in 2-3 years for the younger people. At least once in 5 years, definitely. And then as we grow in age, I think the frequency should increase.
We should do it more often.
By after 50 years, every year.
Okay. जी सर, routine screening में which are the tests जो उनको करवाने चाहिए?
So I would say screening. Don't say tests only. Physical examination by the doctor is very important.
For example, you said even the self-breast
exam.
So
you may have self-breast examination. They may find a node, they may find a wart, and then which will not be known by any blood test or anything. So you look in your body for yourself, and then also get it examined by the doctor. Okay, you have, and then let him examine for the liver, spleen, and so on, everything. So even the testes for that, somebody asked me the testicular cancer. So a proper examination, and sometimes we have the people have bleeding, and they think maybe the piles are up high. So they have a self-made diagnosis. Somebody's a pile cell. The piles goes for years, and actually they may having a rectal cancer. So all these symptoms, do not equate them with some diagnosis, and then get them checked up thoroughly. So if any symptoms are there, immediately consult the doctor, take their advice.
जी, so questions देख लेते हैं. Niharika says, what about the fruits and vegetables having so much pesticides? So do they really have antioxidants and nutritional value?
Yeah, fine. So I'm not an agriculture specialist, but some of the specialists, they say that any amount of the concentration of these chemicals in the vegetables may not be directly proportional to the amount of chemical they're exposed to. So there are a lot of theories. I'm not an expert on that, but definitely there will be some contamination. It's a matter of concern. So I don't think I'll be able to answer that question, but I think we need to have organic food more than anything else, and that has to be from a government policy. The farmers have to change their practices. It's a very big question, and there's no way to know whether this vegetable is good or bad, even if they say organic.
Yes. So right now there is nothing in place. So she further asks, also, sir, what about all the cosmetics, as they are high in endocrine disruptors? So could they cause cancer?
I think we discussed about this. Stick to the natural cosmetics, herbal cosmetics, the drug synthetic cosmetics.
जी. So Saurabh asks us a question. Sir, my aunt was diagnosed with throat cancer 5 years ago, but she's fine now. Recently, she complained about some sensation in her throat, post which she immediately met our doctors, but nothing was found. Since then, we are all worried. What can be the reason behind this, sir?
I think it's difficult to say without patient what exactly the symptom is. Contact your doctor, and I think he'll be able to explain to you better. So every symptom is not equal to cancer or a recurrence, and sometimes after cancer and after treatment, some symptoms persist and patient also become more conscious, right? So I think they can just consult the doctor and whatever he says.
That would be the best thing to do. Ji sir. So Megha is asking care for post-operative neck surgery in cancer.
I think that is best done with the surgeon who's operated. Trust him and then go back to him.
जी सर स्क्रीनिंग का जहाँ तक सवाल है when we come to cervical cancer screening sir what exactly should we get done?
So first the World Health Organization says one thing very clearly: to bring down the cancer deaths from cervix, one physical examination of a lady once in lifetime will bring it down by 30-40%.
Wow, that's a huge number.
Right? So which means that and they also recommend that any lady visiting a hospital for whatever, including a throat pain, must have a physical checkup at least that time. But that will give an opportunity. So important thing to say here is a good gynecological checkup itself is important. And then the gynecologist can do that, and then at the same time they can take a pap smear and then send it for the thing. For the test. If there's a suspicious lesion, they can do a biopsy.
So तो ये एक routine OPD में भी हो सकता है. इसके लिए there is nothing to fear or feel bad about. Okay. Sir, and breast cancer के लिए आपने बताया कि एक तो breast self-examination है.
So identify your risk factors. Are you at a high risk or a normal risk? High risk is not just the family history, but supposing if you're unmarried at the age of 40, you are at a high risk. If you've never married and do not have children, even if you're married and do not have children, you're at a high risk. So identify your risk factors, and then if you've taken a lot of contraceptives, right? So that's another thing. And if you've been having a benign breast disease, which means small lumps in the breast, which have been benign from the beginning, you are at a high risk. Yes, you're at a high risk. So identify your risk and then go for the screening. And the screening would be your own, of course, breast examination, we said, mammography and ultrasound annually at a high risk people, and then examination by a surgeon, an experienced surgeon who can actually distinguish between a benign and a malignant tumor. If you have an oncologist nearby, please walk up to his or her office and do that. That will be much better. So that's how the screening would be.
And so for men, the common cancers that especially they have in India, तो sir उनके लिए screening का क्या protocol रहेगा?
Okay, so a complete examination of the body. That's one, and then don't just say test again. We've said it before. So examination of the body, identify the symptoms. So symptoms like including the acidity. नहीं मेरे को थोड़ा सा मिर्ची खाने से acidity होता है. And just to recall the experience, one of the patients' son was accompanying the patient all the time. And casually he asked me, Doctor Sahab, I have this thing, we have this pain, थोड़ा मिर्ची ज़्यादा खाता हूँ तो हो जाता है. I said, go in your endoscopy. क्या Doctor Sahab? I said, endoscopy. And his symptom persisted, and then I think next 1 month he had endoscopy, he had a stomach cancer, and then he had the liver metastasis. Many people have this problem whenever they have the acid production. Acidity symptom, they take some medicine and they become all right.
Like antacid or something,
and then suddenly they have an ultrasound, they find that the cancer is spread. So do not ignore it.
And do not self-medicate, please.
And even if the doctor says also, but just be sure that these kind of symptoms are they rule out the cancer. So that is what it is. And then coming back to screening in the males, physical examination, thorough understanding of any symptoms if they are there, and then the routine tests of blood counts and everything else, and also the PSA in elderly female. But elderly males, it could be, and prostate examination. And more important than the thing is it's called a digital rectal examination. So they put the finger, the doctor puts a finger in the anus and examines the prostate. At the same time, he examines the so and the rectum. I think that's a very important test.
So उसका कोई age होती है जब वो करवाना चाहिए, especially prostate cancer?
After 60 years or 50 years, it's recommended. And it's a big controversy to have a screening or not to have, because prostate cancer is a cancer which happens in most of the men, and after the age of 60 it starts growing, and then it is said almost 90 to 100% of people have it at the age of 100 years. years.
Oh, so that's why so काफी late शुरू होता है.
Yes, correct. So late शुरू होता है. So I mean, yeah, be on the checkup, and then those who have family history of prostate cancers go for a screening.
जी.
Every patient.
जी sir.
Personally.
जी सर. सर ओरल कैंसर इंडिया में काफी कॉमन है. सर उसके लिए पहले तो प्रिवेंशन जैसे आपने कहा ऑल फॉर्म्स ऑफ टोबैको एंड देन सर क्या स्क्रीनिंग में क्या करना?
So for prevention, not only the tobacco, even these pan masalas.
जी.
They have, I think, the Tata Institute of Fundamental
So
Research.
most of the people think that they are non-cancerous.
No, it's wrong. Okay, so the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research has done research, and then they have followed up all the people who have non-tobacco containing pan masalas, right? And then they tested young people who are having for 5 years and above, and they have a thing called as oral submucous fibrosis. Now, what actually happens? The whole mucous membrane becomes stiff, leathery. Instead of being pink and
it thickens.
Thickens. It becomes leathery, and they can't open their mouth. They can't find the taste. The taste things change. They can't open their mouth because it's all stiff and it's fibrous. There's something like a scarring. And then when they can't open the mouth, they can't eat well, chew well, and they can't even clean their mouth. And therefore infections, and then they are more prone to cancers in a matter of. And once a cancer happens, another cancer can happen in the other place. They're prone to cancer. It's called a field canceration. So most important thing is do not believe the pan masalas actually are supposed to be banned, but unfortunately for whatever reasons it's not happening. It's very prevalent in India. And
it's a very bad food practice. So please
stop that.
Yeah, stop.
And then how dental hygiene is very important. Sharp teeth, unhealthy teeth,
jarred teeth.
Yes. So they are bad. So you can consult the dentist and address them,
get them fixed.
Whatever they fix them. And then check up if there's any ulcer, if there's any bleeding tendency, just go back to your doctor and then get it checked up. Dentist, ENT specialist, a surgeon, they can thoroughly check up.
So so which means oral cancer ke liye we should also go to a dentist.
And then swellings in the neck if they spread, so they just get them checked up.
जी sir. So WhatsApp से कुछ question ले लेते हैं before we wrap up. We get a lot of questions on WhatsApp as well. So what are the causes and prevention measures for pancreatic cancer?
There's no cause established for the pancreatic cancer. Chronic pancreatitis, that means they have some stone in the pancreas, gallstones and all that, they can produce pancreatic cancer. There's no preventive measure for pancreatic cancer. I think diagnosis early. There's no screening either.
Ji. So there's one more question. After chemo, I have itching in the skin. What should be done?
There could be dryness in the skin. Just use the moisturizers, natural containing moisturizer, and that should be fine.
जी. ब्लड कैंसर के पेशेंट को कितना टाइम लगता है ठीक होने में अगर स्टेज 2 हो तो?
Okay, so different blood cancers have different kind of things. Like for example, chronic myeloid leukemia, they live for long. Chronic lymphatic leukemia, they live for long. Acute, I think, if they remain in remission for about 4 years, they can then take themselves at 4 to 5 years. They're cured and then it doesn't relapse.
जी. So अगर if we there are many questions and this Famhealth Live is not going to be enough. We will definitely have Sir with us again. Sir, but if you have to give us a brief about today's talk in just 2 or 3 minutes, so what would that be? The takeaway message for our viewers.
Number one message is that the cancer incidence is increasing in a country, and we should be more watchful than ever before that we're not having cancer. The cancer, when it happens, it kills the person much prematurely. It causes a lot of morbidity. The treatment is expensive. So therefore, it gives all the reasons to prevent cancer. And the primary prevention of cancers, I think we discussed it extensively. Stick to those healthy things and then try to prevent the cancer. For the people who may think that, okay, I'm going to prevent, please look after the next generation. I think that's the most important task that we have to do. Prevent the next generation from cancers by adopting all the healthy measures from childhood. Tell them that this is important, not to sit in front of the TV and have burgers and put on weight, and that's the most unhealthy thing. And then we must also realize that the cancers are coming earlier in age. Earlier they were coming in 60s, now 50s, and then 40s. I think that's the generation we should be very careful about. So we discussed about the causes, the prevention, primary level and the secondary level, and if the immunizations and all that. So we discussed it, Glenn. So be very sure that the cancer, and if there's any cancer, go and consult an oncologist. Don't get into the things, year treatment, alternative medicines are there. I don't want to disrespect them. They have their own place. But I would say that stick to your scientifically proven methods.
जी
That's what.
जी सर, वेरी वेल समड अप। आप लोगों के पास जो कोई भी क्वेश्चंस हैं कैंसर से रिलेटेड, तो आप हमारी कम्युनिटी पे @famhealth.in/community या famhealth.in/login पे जाकर हमारे कैंसर कम्युनिटी पेज पे प्लीज उन क्वेश्चंस को डालिए, हम उनको सर तक लेके जाएंगे, क्योंकि डॉक्टर रंगा राव इज एसोसिएटेड विद फैमहेल्थ एंड वो और उनकी टीम लगातार हमारे लिए कैंसर से रिलेटेड जानकारी भेजती रहती है। सो प्लीज आस्क योर क्वेश्चंस एंड सर हैज प्रॉमिस्ड अस दैट फॉर एन एंटायर मंथ ऑफ सितंबर सर आते रहेंगे फ्राइडे बिटवीन 1 to 2 p.m. कैंसर के रिलेटेड और टॉपिक्स डिस्कस करने के लिए। जी सर, बिकॉज वी स्टिल हैव सो मेनी क्वेश्चंस unanswered, but thank you so much for taking out your time, and please go to communities, ask anything cancer related to sir, and हम next week में जो हमारा Famhealth live आ रहा है उसमें इसको लेंगे।
So I just want to make one point.
Sure,
So
sir.
people may be having lots of points. If they अब अपने points पहले से ही दे देंगे, at least we know what to address.
जी।
Because I know I keep talking or you keep talking, we'll ask questions what we think are important. But there may be some questions in their minds. If they give us their clues, and then we can design the talk and discussions.
Yeah, we can. Or if there is a specific topic that you
Yes,
want sir
correct.
to talk on, please come to our community,
Right.
ask it there, and we will take it up next time.
Yes.
Thanks a lot, sir, for your time. It was really insightful. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, and I hope you liked it and it will be useful.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much. Done कर दूँ ना?
Done.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So we can see this in the YouTube or something?
Sir, we can see this on Facebook
Yes,
also.
yes, okay.
हाँ सर, मैं आपको भी भेज देती हूँ।
Right.
जी सर।
Right.
आइए।
I hope we covered everything.
Yes, sir.
So
I
the
think
conversation we did a lot in English. It's fine.
I think Asha will be. I thought so. शायद आप हिंदी में comfortable नहीं है, तो भी मैंने डाला। Oh great. Then next one.
But you started talking English. I started.
सर मुझे वो लगा कि
That's fine.
Thank you.
I hope it is useful.
Very nice.
अच्छा आप रोशन बढ़िया सी कॉफी बना के
The recorder is on. One should take notes. That's the knowledge that I have.
I think लाइफ वगैरह ये नहीं है। आपको जो बताना है। कौन सा एंगल वीडियो से ही है?
यही पे कर लेते हैं। यही पे कर लेते हैं जो आपके वो नहीं हम क्या है हम बस पीस अप कर लें तो आपको ये बनाएगा हम सेटअप नहीं आता।
हाँ तो ठीक है सर।
बस ये लैपटॉप हटा दे रहे हैं।
तकीला हमको पहली बार
सर का फोन है वहाँ पे? सर का फोन?
यहाँ तो मैं नहीं हाँ तो हमें कह रहे थे इसमें ऐसे लेते थे यहाँ पे नौ रखे हैं रखते हैं
क्या करते?
9 रखते हैं अच्छा शॉर्ट बोनस चाट लेंगे तो 9 रखा जाता है
नहीं हमने कुछ नहीं रखा।
नहीं वो रखा था खुशबू लगता है कि टेस्ट हो जाता है
हमने खाने का रखा था।
तो हमने रखा
सर ये लाइट चल रही थी तो बंद करो।
आपको पढ़े